The Denver Broncos spent nearly a decade looking for the replacement for Peyton Manning. They tried everything under the sun. We tried Paxton Lynch. That was a failure. Drew Lock wasn't the answer. We even got desperate and we pulled off one of the biggest trades in NFL history that ended up being quite possibly the biggest disappointment in franchise history with Russell Wilson. But now, after just 2 seasons, Broncos fans are finally asking the question that had eluded us for so long. Do we have our franchise guy? Is Bo Nix the quarterback of the Denver Broncos, not just now, but in the future as well, moving forward? I have my answer, and I think you may not agree with me. We're going to dive into this. Don't go anywhere. If you're a lifelong Denver Broncos fan like myself, you remember what life was like after Peyton Manning. We were on a high. We just won Super Bowl 50. Things were looking fantastic, right? In comes Trevor Siemian. Came in and he did decent. That first year under Trevor was not bad, but we missed the playoffs. We fell short. And I feel we were okay with it at the time, simply for the fact that that happens fairly often for teams that just win the Super Bowl, right? The next year, they fall short of the playoffs, and it was by a game. It's not like we went, 6 wins, right? It was by a game. Unfortunately, we had no idea that we would be starting our ride on the quarterback carousel that plagued this team. We drafted Paxton Lynch in the first round, if you remember. And honestly, that was just a bad move. If you dug deeper into some of the things that came out about Paxton Lynch, I feel like had that regime done their homework, they absolutely could have found out that, this guy's probably not going to work. This guy's probably not going to be equipped to lead a franchise that just came off of a Super Bowl. So that was a bad draft pick. Historically, picking a quarterback in the late 20s doesn't work out anyway. But that's a conversation for another time. Then we took Drew Lock, who was a second-round pick. That one didn't work out either. Drew Lock had every opportunity under the sun to prove himself. I remember all of the arguments on Bleacher Report. I remember all of the arguments on Facebook, on Twitter. Drew Lock's going to work out. The coaches sabotaged Drew Lock. This one, that one. The end of the day, Drew Lock just wasn't the guy. In fact, he's just a backup quarterback. That's who Drew Lock is. And that's okay. No shade on Drew Lock. Leading an NFL franchise is very difficult. And it's something 0.01% of people are equipped to do. So no shade against Drew Lock at all. The kid tried. And who could forget our esteemed Hall of Fame quarterback? Am I talking about John Elway? No. Am I talking about Peyton Manning? No. I'm talking about Hall of Fame quarterback Kendall Hinton. Absolutely deserves a shout out for what was quite possibly one of the worst moments of Denver Broncos football. He was put in an impossible situation, and, the result was the result, man. But shout out to Kendall. We even tried coach after coach, right? We went through Gary Kubiak, won us the Super Bowl. Next year, fell short. Then we move on to Vance Joseph. That was a disaster. Then we move on to Vic Fangio. That was a disaster. And who could forget? Who could forget Nathaniel Hackett? Quite possibly. And you know, I try not to throw shade on this channel, but quite possibly the worst one-season coaching job as a fan that I have probably ever witnessed across the NFL. It was awful. It was horrendous.
I will tell you guys honestly and truly, I have seen every episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air at least twice.
We're going to be getting, what did he say? We're going to be getting tutties. We're going to get all kinds of tutties. And we were probably the worst scoring team in the NFL that season. In comes Sean Payton. And immediately you could feel a shift with the Denver Broncos. It was almost as if, you know, when you're at a daycare center as a kid and you're running around doing whatever you want, taking advantage of the daycare workers. In comes your dad. Your dad walks into the daycare center, and all of a sudden you realize, oh my gosh, the games are over. And then you fall in line. The adult has entered the room. That's what Sean Payton was like. In comes Sean Payton. He inherits what was quite possibly the biggest disappointment in franchise history with Russell Wilson. So we get the Russell Wilson trade. Russell Wilson's in town. He's catchphrasing left and right. He's a catchphrase merchant. He has like 24 bathrooms in his house for some reason. Maybe the guy overhydrates and he has to pee a lot. I don't know. But I remember that being weird. He demands an office just for himself so he can do some scouting, even though that's not his job. I would like to know how George Payton felt about that one. All of this stuff that came with Russell Wilson, that, quite frankly, and we kind of have been over the past, 15 years-ish, been little brothered by the Seahawks. They have little brothered us. That's why Bo Nix breaking his ankle last year was unfortunate, because it was our chance to end that, right? But if you remember, they beat us in Super Bowl 48. I don't like talking about it either, but we got to address it. Then they went on a tear throughout the NFL. And then they ended up winning the Russell Wilson trade, and they just won a Super Bowl, largely because of the assets they got from that trade. Now, I will give Seahawks fans credit. I'm active on Bleacher Report. No, I'm not giving you my username. That's for me to know. They did try to warn us. A lot of their fans on Bleacher Report and Twitter tried to warn us, hey, might not be the savior that y'all think he is. And it turned out to be the truth. It turned out to be the case, right? So Sean Payton inherits that total disaster.
No, we're not. Wilson throws off balance, picked off at the 4.
Listen, man, Russell Wilson is a talented quarterback. We know that. He looks left to Cortland Sutton, and then without even looking, throws the ball.
And then we arrive at the big decision Sean Payton had to make, and he chose to get rid of Russell Wilson. And regardless of if Bo Nix is the guy or not, regardless of that, which that's the topic of this video, and I'm getting there. Regardless of that outcome, getting rid of Russell Wilson was the right call. Make no mistake. And it took the adult on campus. It took the adult walking into the room to make that decision. And rightfully so. Sean Payton, that was a great call. So then we get rid of Russell Wilson. We go into the draft, the 2024 famed NFL draft, where there truly was just a run of quarterbacks, right? 5 taken in the first 12 picks. So the Broncos had pick 12, right? It was pretty much a foregone conclusion that quarterback was going to go 1, 2, 1 and 2 for sure. Most people realized it was going to be 1, 2, and 3, and it was. We got Caleb Williams going first to the Chicago Bears. Then we got Jaden Daniels going second to the Washington Commanders. And then we got Drake May going to the New England Patriots. Then a few picks later, we get Michael Penix going to the Atlanta Falcons, which was kind of the shocker. And yes, that means Michael Penix was selected before Bo Nix. That one still blows my mind, personally. Then we got J.J. McCarthy, went to Minnesota. And then our Denver Broncos, our beloved Denver Broncos, drafted Bo Nix with the 12th overall pick in 2024. Now, what made this selection different than previous selections in that draft was the fact that everyone and their mother, every analyst that's out there, anyone that has a voice in the sports realm, said that it was going to be a bust pick. The famous viral clip of that dude on TikTok, whose name I cannot remember, don't really care to, saying, I don't think I've ever seen a more obvious bust pick than Bo Nix. That's pretty much the sentiment that went around. And here we sit today. Bo Nix. He has more yards. He has more touchdowns. He has more wins than any of those quarterbacks selected before him. And that's what makes this so polarizing. And as Broncos fans, after almost a decade of awful football, let's just call it what it is. It was bad and boring, which is the worst combination to be. But the thing is we weren't bad enough to truly make a difference, because when you're picking in that, 14 to 20 range every year, you don't get a pick that's bad enough, that's high enough to make a difference. And you're not making the playoffs, and you're just stuck in this purgatory. That's where we were. Bo Nix was selected because he was the most accurate college quarterback in that, not just in that draft, but I believe statistically he had one of the most accurate quarterback seasons in college football history as far as completion percentage goes. Decision making. The guy typically, does not make game losing decisions. Typically. Leadership. Bo Nix is a stand-up gentleman. Bo Nix is who he comes across as. That's who Bo Nix is. He's a stand-up guy. He's a respectful young guy, right? Somebody you can trust with the keys to the kingdom. Pocket presence. I will say it till I'm blue in the face, till I'm orange and blue in the face. Bo Nix makes his offensive line look better than they actually are. Love our offensive line. I mean, for the most part. Quinn Miners is great. Garrett Bowles, what a turnaround. But Bo Nix makes their job a little bit easier. Pocket presence is great. Slept on athletic ability. Absolutely. When Bo Nix gets out of the pocket, he can be a little dangerous. Biggest weaknesses? Sure, he's got some weaknesses. Every quarterback does. I think Bo Nix maybe struggles at times to kind of take over the game. Like, I don't know if it's like he's kind of second guessing himself. I know a lot of times the play calls aren't exactly what they should be, and I believe that has a chance to change this year now that Sean Payton has given up play calling duties. Of course, he's got weaknesses. I mean, he'll miss open guys deep now and then simply because he moves his eyes a little too quickly. You know, every quarterback's got him, bro. But here's what Bo Nix critics will tell you. Here's what Bo Nix critics will tell you. Things like, the second you hear any of these arguments, immediately shut that person down, right? You'll hear stuff like, Bo Nix is too old. Well, that's interesting considering the fact that him and Jaden Daniels are months apart. Months. They're about the same age. So there goes that argument, right? He can't push the ball down the field.
3rd and 11. Down the middle. Mims! He's gone! Oh! Touchdown, Denver! Marvin Mims walks it in.
Interesting because when you watch him and you see him throw those long bombs, you realize that that's not true. It's not. It's simply not accurate. He's a check down merchant is what a lot of the critics like to use. And I will rebuttal that with he's just smart with the football. Simple as that. Bo Nix knows when being a check down merchant is okay, and he knows when to push the ball. That's what some of the critics that I've heard say repeatedly over and over. They parrot these same criticisms of Bo Nix without actually diving into his film like I do, without actually diving into the man and how he plays the game, right? All that being said, I believe that Bo Nix is the franchise quarterback that the Denver Broncos, our beloved Denver Broncos, have been searching for since Peyton Manning retired. And after 2 years, after 2 seasons of watching this guy play, I am pretty confident in my assessment that Bo Nix is our guy, not just now, but in the future. And we have found him. We have found him. The search is over. Finally, we can say the search is over. He checks every box that great franchise quarterbacks need to check. He's reliable, both on the field and off the field. He's respectful. He's humble. He's hardworking. He's the first guy in, last guy out mentality. He puts the team on his back. He realizes that the buck stops at him. He knows that. And he's fearless. And that could be the biggest one. You watch him and Josh Allen trade blow for blow in the AFC playoffs last year. You'll see what I'm talking about. The guy fears nothing. So I will end with this. If you don't think we found our franchise guy, I have to question what you're watching. What are you looking at? Because the Denver Broncos' future is absolutely Bo Chapman Nix. I want to hear from you. I want to hear from anyone who watches this video. Am I buying into the hype a little bit too much? Or have we actually found our guy? Let me know in the comments. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to be giving you Denver Broncos, Denver Nuggets, Colorado Avalanche. All right here. Colorado Rockies when there weren't, when it warrants talking about them, which isn't all the time. We're going to cover it all right here. This is the Altitude Report. Thank you so much for joining me. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below your thoughts. Did we find our guy finally? And I will see you all next time.